All right, welcome to Real Estate Success. I'm your host, Mena Badros, here today with David Bentinck. David, great to have you here, man.
Hey, brother, I really appreciate it, man. I'm excited to be here.
For sure, man. Hey, before we dive into business, I'd love for people to get to know who you are. So, without mentioning any professional accomplishments, can you tell people who David is?
Man, that's kind of hard because I think sometimes we like to identify with those, right?
For sure.
But hey, listen, my name is David. I am a realtor here with in the Dallas, Texas area. Been in the game for I would say about 7 years. It feels like a lifetime, honestly. But man, like growing up, like at an early age, I learned the principles of hard work and the value of honesty. Because I watched my mom and dad, grind and they had some really strong work ethics, and they really tried to provide me and my brothers a good life. Um, and my mom was working two jobs, going to school, trying to provide us a better quality of life. So was my dad, trying to ascend in his career, and really that instilled the grind in me. And at about like age 16 or so, like I got into like I got struck by the entrepreneurial bug. That's when Instagram was popping off. Like I would see like Gary V and Grant Cardone. Like those were probably the two biggest people that I'd watch on Instagram. And like, Gary, taught me about the grind, and then I was following Grant Cardone about real estate. So that's what really piqued my interest then about real estate and the grind. And around that time, man, I was actually going into estate sales. And what I would do is I would buy stuff and I would flip them, right, for like a profit. So like I was always like trying to grind and hustle. Um, and man, I've tried to do the college thing, just wasn't working out for me. Ended up dropping out. So I got my associates, transferred to university, had like my schedule already lined up. Went to my first class and ended up leaving. I had three classes on the books that day. I went to my first one, and then something was telling me, "Hey, college is not for you." And I think it was because of my peer group, right? Like they didn't seem like they didn't seem like they wanted to be there. And when I noticed that, I was like, "Yeah, this isn't my environment." So I actually left my first day on university campus. And so like everything was leading up to the point of real estate, right? Like, watching the Grant Cardone, Gary V, real estate, things like that. So I was like, man, you know what? Let me go get my license. And, got my license, was reading a lot of books through, um, self-development. I love biographies. I love learning about people's stories. So I would read about all these millionaires creating wealth through real estate. So everything was just lining up for real estate, right? Um, and so got my license, and man, I thought I was going to make a shitload of money and work a little bit of hours, man. But I mean, that wasn't the case. I'd say like, I tell people I didn't go through I didn't go through university traditionally, but I went through the school of hard knocks. And man, just found a stride with real estate probably in about year three. And that's when really things started to pop off. And man, I became determined, to change the reputation of what people had for realtors, right? Because honestly, man, like, did you know that like on the list of most trustworthy professionals, like we're just right above used car salesmen? Like it's crazy. So I
Yeah,
went.
we're like but what is it, like the top three most untrusted or something
Yeah,
like that? Top
dude,
three, top five?
it's crazy, man. And I didn't want to be just another realtor. I wanted to be an expert advisor. And I was just determined to change that, man. So what I did that with my work ethic, I showed people that I cared, showed them through that, hey, this is my passion. And man, I just you know created a good book of business. My passion to improve the quality of the real estate process. Actually, I know you said not, don't bring up recognitions, but actually won me the Real Producers Hardest Working Realtor, which I mean that's an accolade, but I feel very proud about it, just because I guess people were recognizing me for what I was doing. And so, yeah, man, like, I mean, I'm just a stubborn visionary with a huge heart, willing to help anybody who's willing to help themselves. I've been very blessed in this business. to be in a position that I am, like, I've been in the business for 7 years. Like, talk to me 7 years ago, I could never imagine the life that I'm living right now. I mean, this business has introduced me to fantastic people like yourself, Jay Kinder, Michael Reese. It's put me in rooms where I shouldn't have been. Man, I'm just so blessed to be here. And I mean, one of my core values is leaders creating leaders. So I'm always, I'm always available for anybody who needs help, who's willing to help themselves.
Man, I love it. So much to unpack there, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna spend some
I know,
time
man.
to cut.
You asked, man, so I went for it. Yeah, I went
Yeah, no,
for
I
it.
appreciate it. I'm gonna pick it at a few points here.
Go for it.
Yeah, the first thing, or kind of one of the last things you said, you said, rooms that you shouldn't have been in, right?
Yep.
And that's a pretty interesting. It's a matter of perspective, right? Um, I think sometimes we feel that we shouldn't be there, but how did your perspective change after you went there and got there repeatedly? Let me ask that.
How did my perspective change? Well, it broadened my horizon on what's possible and what's capable. Um, I got coached by Coach Burt. You may have heard his name, Coach Michael Burt.
Yep.
And he says that there's a few different factors that will activate somebody's prey drive, prey like an animal. And the prey drive is the instinct to go after what you want. Okay. And it could be competition, it could be inspiration, it could be fear of loss, it could be several other things, right? So mine, what I figured out was inspiration. So getting inside these rooms, like, I got very inspired, um just to continue to improve the quality of my life, because I saw it possible. I saw people, our mentors, live the lives or be in these rooms that I shouldn't have been in. um you know and them starting off in the same place where we were, and now seeing them where they're at, like, it inspired me, right? And it inspired me, um and it excited me, because I'm like, you know what, we have mentors that we can shortcut the process from. We have mentors that we can learn from. We have mentors that, like, they're willing to give us their playbooks to shortcut the process, right?
Right,
So
like shrinking your decades into days, some people say,
100%. So
Yeah.
that's what happened. It really inspired me, man. Like, man, this is possible, and I want it, and it's mine. Like, I mean, I started living there in the mind, you know?
I love it. You mentioned, reading about great people. I remember being in a work environment when I worked in corporate life. And it was an environment where the team or the department, they were all older than me and they were all readers, right? So the supervisors and executives would always constantly ask, like, well, what are you reading? Stuff like that. And I didn't enjoy a lot of like leisure nonfiction reading, right? So
Yeah.
I read people's biographies and watched people's stories. And one time, an executive came to my desk. We were chatting, and he said, "What are you reading?" And I told him. And then she said, "Those who want to be great read about those who are great, right? Or those who want to be great read about great people." And that stuck with me because it kind of goes back to your point. Like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel constantly, even though our world is evolving, right? There's new technologies. There are people who walked this path before. There are people who've done great things before.
Yep.
And when you learn from their stories, from their rights and their wrongs, makes it a lot easier, right, to create your own journey and kind of be successful in your journey. So that's definitely a tip for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah. Because
overestimate or underestimate that.
yeah, when you learn about somebody's stories, like, oh shit, like, you get a different perspective on the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
What
just
what
seeing
did
where
you
they come from. What's up?
what did you do in year three? You said you kind of hit a stride year three in real estate. What changed then?
Good question, man. So I was at a different brokerages. Now I'm with EXP. I was at a different brokerage, and we partnered up with Jay Kinder, Mike Reese, the co-founders of the National Association of Expert Advisors, and man, they just had this Navy SEAL real estate training boot camp, to put you in a position to become an expert advisor, to your clients. And when I started to realize like the training is meant to, put you in that expert advisor role and not just become another realtor, right? Like realtors, what they're going to do is like, have that commission breath. They're going to try to sell somebody. But as an expert advisor, I'm here to advise you with my expertise. So I may say, what, I may not be a good fit for you. You know what I mean? Or you may not be a good fit for me. So just things like that, like you're the ability to determine, whether or not business will be a good fit for one another, and just learn a proven and repeatable system that's backed by market research, to help your clients net more money or even save tens of thousands of dollars. Like I became valuable. That's what it was. I became valuable, right, with training and expertise. And I believe once you become valuable, like your income becomes limitless.
Mhm.
And that's what it was, man. So like I put the training to the test and my growth just accelerated from there.
If you had to pick maybe three things from that training, right? That I'm sure you took a lot more away, but three things that really made a difference for you. What would they be?
Well, number one is I got a mentor, right? We got a direct accessible mentor, Jay Kinder. He was the number two, and I believe it was
Coldwell
called
Banker.
Banker,
Yep.
in the world. Sold over 500 homes a year. And he opened up his playbook. And not only did he say, "Hey, here's a training, go watch it." He said, "Hey, here's a training, go watch it. And here's my cell phone number. Call me if you need help." Right. Somebody I had no business talking to, you know what I mean? So that was it. Number two is I was able to develop a value proposition. So the value proposition allowed me to set more appointments, convert more listings, and really, it helps you net your client more money, right?
Right.
And number three, I was able to get more results, right? So a big thing that I'm doing right now, Mena, is that I am with my results, I am doing client testimonial videos, and I do these videos to edify myself. Listen, I can talk about how great I am all day. I love talking about how great I am, but if somebody else is doing that, then that puts you in a different eye, right? Like people will look at you differently. You know what I mean? Like if you had like Donald Trump say, "Man, endorse you." What do you think that will do to you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Increase the reach.
Exactly. Right. So it's the same kind of it's the same kind of strategy, right? So I was able to get more results, happier clients for life, increase my book of business, and content. Like I tell people like, hey, listen, like when you work with me, this is what's going to happen. We're going to get to the closing table, and you're going to do a live video for me. I'd say 50% say yes, 50% say no. That's okay. But I'm able to now show other people like, hey, here's Mena. I just helped him sell his house. Go watch his client testimonial. And really that does a lot of the heavy lifting, man. So like that really changed my life. And once I started to get into a flow and groove of this and utilizing this training, and like I said, like business has been on the ascend ever since.
That's awesome, man. One thing you mentioned is value proposition, and I teach a lot of national designation classes, and then one of those classes, at the buyer class, talks about value proposition. So I ask agents, right? Do you have a value proposition? And the vast majority of agents, even seasoned agents, top producing agents, uh, don't, right?
Mhm.
So can you just break down what is a value proposition, and more so why it's valuable to your real estate business?
So like a value proposition basically is, what kind of sets you apart
Right,
from other competitors, right?
right.
The value proposition that I've been leaning on is basically, we have a proven and repeatable system that's backed by market research to help you sell your property for up to 18% more than using traditional real estate methods. Now, man, if I'm able to come over and show you exactly how we're able to do that and show you how we've been able to do that with other clients, what would stop us from meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock?
Yeah, I love it.
Right?
D- Curious, do you ever get anyone poking the holes in the percentages?
Absolutely, all the time. But that's okay because like I can actually show them, and I tell them like, hey, it's one thing I can tell you. I know I've got some, I know I'm talking, with some $10 words, but, let me come over and show you, like, you've got nothing to lose, but everything to gain, man. Like, what's
Right.
stopping us from meeting? Right.
Right. Let me take a back step. If you can guide us through how your career has evolved, right? You kind of talked about year three and a pivotal point, but just throughout, from where you started to where you are now, just walk us through in a nutshell the evolution of your real estate career.
From year 3 to now.
Sure, or even year one to now. How was it when you
Um,
started, then that pivot, and then how your progress since?
Man, I'd say I'm definitely a different person. I'm definitely a different person. My mindset, man, that's what it is. My mindset has just been totally different.
Hmm.
Um, I've never had an ego. Um, I've always been humble. I've always been very humble. And this business has taught me to become, like, be a lifelong student. I'm always a student and never a know-it-all. And I mean, even now, like, I would consider myself successful. But I never like to be the smartest kid in the room. So I'm always trying to get inside rooms where, like, I can learn from somebody. So, like, my mindset has evolved, right? Like, here's the thing, man. I believe, I adapted this, pretty early on. Like, I believe that the destination is not as important as the person that you become as a part of the journey. You know what I mean? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, talk to me 6 months ago, talk to me 6 years ago. I'm a totally different person. Like, I know I'm gonna get business. I may go through some rough patches. I may go through, months where nothing happens, but, like, the process and what I'm going through is developing me to become the person who I want to become. That's the evolution right there, is that I'm just a totally different person. Like, I believe, like, hey, enjoy the journey, because that's setting you up for success. Like, the people who we want to be, the people who have the businesses that we want, like, they all had to go through some shit, man, and we have to go through the same shit. We have to, like, when the market shifted, like, you had to go through that, man. So that's what I believe, man, is that I believe that the best part of my evolution is just becoming a different person.
I love that, man. Michael Reese says, success is becoming the person that you need to become in order to achieve the things that you want to achieve, right? So,
100%, bro. Like, who do you need to become? Like, what kind of shit do you need to go through? Like, what kind of failures do you need to have? Right? Like, what, it's always a who and never a what. Like, who do I need to become? Right?
mm.
Like, who's successful? Like, who do I need to put myself next to? Right? Things like that.
So let me ask, being very humble, not having an ego, obviously, still having a good mindset coming in. What things did you need to change or shift or be more attentive to mindset? Like, did you have to be more bold? Did you have to, not be too humble all the time? Like, what things did you have to shift mindset wise for you to, be more successful in real estate?
Man, just give up bad habits, right? I started making a stop doing lists, right? People make a to-do
Mm.
list. I started making a stop doing list. And I wrote down all the shit that I felt like was holding me back, like, going to bed late, getting up late, hanging around low vibrational people, right? I created a stop doing list. And it's hard, man. I cut out the bad habits and I started creating winning habits by doing that. And it was hard, man. Like, because I love, I love my friends. I never forget where I came from either. But sometimes I had to say no to people. Every time I got invited out somewhere, here's the thing, man. I get invited out like almost every weekend, man. But really, I stay in because I don't find any value in going out to bars, unless I'm with, like, just a higher caliber people. I just don't see any value, man. So, like, it really, um, what changed for me really was, like, the ability to say no, and coming to grips, man. Cause I'm 30, I'm 30. And so, like, the coming to grips, like, you know what, like, I need to be going out like Friday and Saturday, man. Like, like just like the societal pressure, like, man, you need to be going out like everybody else. But once I realized like there's a lot of value in staying in, getting up early, hitting the gym, having a productive day, dude, like I'm finding a lot of fucking joy in that right now, man. Like I'm really loving life right now. Like, and I'm like I said, man, you become a totally different person by doing this. Like your mindset is different, and you're able to find people who are on the same kind of journey with you. You know?
Right. I love that, man, and I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy for you, right, and also to see your growth. I shared with you. I've been watching you, for the last few years in our group, man. So,
Appreciate that, man.
yeah, let's shift gears for a little bit. I know another big topic that you like to talk about is lead generation, and that's probably a big bottleneck for a lot of agents, right? They don't know how to go about lead generation. They don't generate enough leads, and that's usually a big issue. So, let's keep it basic or start from the basics. If one doesn't really have reliable lead generation sources or activities, where should they start?
Man, they need to pick up the phone and start dialing, man. I got in young. I got in at 22, 23. And listen, my sphere wasn't doing anything at that time either. They were still in school. They were still getting jobs. Maybe even like maybe I felt like maybe like my parents' friends were seeing me as that punk kid, right? Who just got his license. So like I had to go off and hustle. Like for 6 months, I struggled, but then I found a real estate team that taught me how to run an actual real estate business. They taught me how to lead gen, follow up, convert, set appointments, and that was pretty much it, man. That's what I did for those 3 years, man. So that's what kind of led up to that success too, is this following a lead generation strategy. And what I did was outbound cold calling. That's what I know. That's my bread and butter. I've taken several listings, several buyers from that. So that's what I believe in. I believe in proactively prospecting. I don't do open houses. I know I would be good at it, but my time could be more effectively spent cold calling on the phone. So that's really where I started, man, was cold calling. I went after expired listings for sub owners. Even the team I was on, I went after their leads too. Still to this day, man, it's still a big pillar of my business. Like if I wasn't on this podcast this morning at 9:30 in the morning, I would be prospecting, man. That's just what I know. I've come to the point, Mena, where I feel guilty if I don't prospect,
Mm,
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
because I know my business will suffer if I don't. Like I've come to the point where if I don't at least get an hour of lead gen, then I feel guilty. I don't know if that's normal, but that's just how I am. You know what I mean?
Nothing is normal, right? It's all about the life that you create and what you want, right? And what works for you. And I think that's one thing I'm really learning recently. It's really about your own journey. I think as well connected as we are, as the people that we see in our group, even, and everyone kind of doing great things, but also doing their own thing. I think you have to just enjoy your own journey and create your own journey, and it's not about what is normal for anybody else, right? It's
Yeah.
what works for you.
Hey, man.
What's going to accomplish your goals?
I feel like it hasn't let me down, man. Like
Yeah.
the Wolf of Wall Street. Like, hey, if your wife's divorcing you, if you're on rough times, if you're about to go through a bankruptcy, man, pick up the phone and start calling.
Yeah.
One of my mentors says, Nick Good, you may know him. He's in the
Yep.
group too, man. Like
Yeah. I had him on the podcast, and I think we're gonna do another episode soon.
nice. Man, he may have said this, he may have dropped this, but like he said something that would always stick with me. He said this prospecting solves everything.
Hmm.
Prospecting solves everything. And that just stuck with me. I'm like, man, like damn, I'm in a slump. Prospect. Like, man, I'm not doing well. Prospect, it solved everything.
Right. And so there's a lot of people who are used to getting business, by referrals through their sphere, and we know the numbers. I think nationally we sold 2 million homes less last year than the year before, right? Which is like a third of the volume less, and a lot of agents are experiencing a third to half less of the transactions, right? The last year versus the year before that.
Sure.
So now people have to pick up the prospecting, and sometimes people overwhelm themselves with what tools do I use, what scripts do I use, right? How do I make it efficient? Um, kind of what do you have to say to these people to kind of work through the clutter and just kind of get to it, you know?
I believe, listen, I believe experience is the best teacher.
Mm.
Um, and I believe, like, you need to choose your hard, right? Like cold calling is hard. Open houses is hard. Buying leads is hard. Spending money is hard. Um, Trying to work your sphere is hard. All that shit's hard. Just, choose your hard, man. And so I chose my heart of cold calling. Like, I mean, I think, you've got to do it. You've got to do some lead gen, whatever that is.
Right.
Like, I'm a mentor within EXP, and I
Yeah,
tell them,
so am I.
all the new agents, I say, listen, you have to lead gen every day. Pick one, pick two that you can master. They all suck. I tell them, like, listen, cold calling sucks. Open houses suck. It's all work, but listen, you have to do it because
Yeah.
real estate is sales 101. It's calling, converting, follow up, setting appointments. That's it. Would you agree that the real estate part is actually easy? Showing homes, having the home on the market, that's the easy part.
Yeah, I think it depends on your skills and what you enjoy. But yeah, I mean, once you have a serious buyer or seller, if you have the knowledge, walking them through the process is fairly easy, right?
100%. But like
Yeah,
the hard part is like the lead gen and the
yeah,
follow up and the nurturing and all that stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, I'd say, listen, you pick one, and also pick somebody, find somebody who has the results that you want in that field, and then put yourself in their proximity, right? Like if you want to cold call, find somebody who's a badass cold caller in your market and learn from them.
yeah.
Like, shortcut their success.
Awesome, man. What's next for you? What's next for
Man,
David?
good question, man. I'm really finding, I love real estate. I still love it. I am finding a lot of love in the coaching, mentoring, investment space right now. Um, and so, I'm just gonna see what's out there, man. Just like, like I had, a couple weeks ago, I think I told you, is like somebody said, hey, would you like to present, how to deliver your listing presentation for a CE credit? I said, absolutely. And it was a hit. I had agents, wanting to know when the next one was. So, got a lot of joy out of doing that. And the reason why is because, like, I told you I was at another brokerage, and man, I was struggling my first 6 months. And every time I asked somebody for help, I really felt like I was bothering them. Like, they gave me that vibe. And and when people come to me for help, with an EXP or just anybody reaching out, like, I give them my time because I don't want to make them feel that way, because I know what it feels like. So I find a lot of joy in helping agents succeed, because I work out of abundance. Like, me helping somebody, me helping somebody and giving them all my secrets is actually going to bring me 7x business.
Mm.
Just like in the Bible says, man, like, what you give away comes back in sevenfold. So yeah, man, in investments, working on a few investments right now, but I think just continuing to build a good book of business, nurturing some good relationships too. Coach Burt talks about this concept called the, 25 acres of diamond. So
Mm.
um, pretty much like, who are your top 25? He says you don't need more money, Mena, you need more people.
Yep.
The people can lead you to the money. So, like, if you find somebody, let's say it's a city councilman, or let's say it's a business owner who has access to who can introduce you to a lot of people. If you focus on nurturing those relationships, man, like, you'll never run out of business. So that's something that I'm focusing on too. Like, working on these top 25, nurturing these relationships to, take my business to the next level. But also, man, working in the teaching and coaching space.
I love that, man. All great stuff, and best wishes on all of it.
Thank you, brother.
I'll continue to follow you, and hopefully we'll collaborate on some stuff too.
Let's do it, man. I
Um,
know you coach and teach too, man. If you want to come out to Dallas and do something together, man, let's do it.
yeah, we'll definitely have to link on that. A few kind of rapid fire questions as we wrap up here.
Do it.
if you were starting real estate today, given everything you know and current everything, technology, economy, state of the country, what would you focus on and do consistently? And you
I
may
would,
have already addressed it, but
yeah, I would cold call. I would buy the Mojo dialer. I would go to Vulcan 7. I would buy their data, and I would call for sub owners and expired listings every morning. I'd also hit up Braden Kinder, who actually is running some pretty badass buyer funnel leads as well, and actually for very inexpensive. Um, and then I would stick to my calendar, right? I would here's the perfect calendar, I believe. 7:30 to 7:45 in the morning, scripting. 8 o'clock to 11 lead gen. 11 to 12 follow up. 12 to 1, I guess you can do lunch. 2 to 4, maybe some personal time, listening to a podcast, reading a book. I usually like to use that time for the gym. After about that, 4 to 7, more lead gen, maybe 7 to 7:30 follow up, 7:30 to 11, chill, downtime, things like that. And man, I would do that for 2 years. 80% of success is showing up. So Gary Vee says, like, show up for 2 years and watch your life change. So I would just do that. I would put the blinders on, man, and I would be totally tunnel vision to start my book of business, honestly.
yeah, I love that. Funny, I heard that quote, 80% of success is showing up when I was a freshman in college. I might have misunderstood it, but I was like, okay, well, if I show up, I'll get a B. Uh, I went to classes 13 weeks straight, not missing a day. And then the first time I missed it, I had like a dentist appointment or something. So I don't know. Yeah, there's
What'd
definitely
you,
power in showing up.
what'd you get? You got a B?
I was B's and A's. So
At least
yeah.
you passed, right? That's it.
Yeah, I showed up.
Yeah.
All right, advice for seasoned agents, winners who want to win more. One piece of advice.
Um, uh, be coachable. Be coachable.
Hmm.
And always ask for feedback, man. Like after every transaction, even if I lose business, I always ask myself this powerful question: is like, what could I have done differently? And I asked my clients that, like, hey, listen, I appreciate your business. Like anything I could have done differently. 99% of the time, they're like, no, you were fantastic. There's 1% of the time where I got some feedback. And I took that and implemented it and continued to grow. Even when I lost business, even like if I'm competing with an appointment, I asked them like, hey, listen, I appreciate the opportunity. Wish you the best of luck. What could I have done differently? So I believe like that's always, and that brings me back to being that student, right? Like
Right.
always being a student, always learning. Because I think when you reach a level, you become like, you feel like you know everything. But man, I never lost the habits that I have when I was first on this grind. Like when I go to like conferences and workshops, like I'm in the front, like I'm a student. You know what I mean? Like I'm in the front, like of the class. I'm not in the back.
Yeah.
I'm in the front. I'm there to learn.
Yeah. I mean, there's always room for improvements, right? No matter how great someone is or how skilled or knowledgeable, there's always room for improvement there, right? There's always more to
100%.
learn. Right?
Always. There's always another level.
Yeah, for sure. One last question. If you were on stage delivering one message to real estate agents, what would your big message be?
Oof, that's a good one. Um, I mean, just something that I'm passionate about, man, is just enjoying that journey, just enjoying that journey of the person that you're becoming. And just, I mean, it never gets easier, but it does get better. Like you
Hmm.
become more skillful
Right.
in this business.
I read something the other day. It doesn't necessarily get easier. You just become more prepared for it, right?
Mhm.
You just become more skilled, more stronger, more ready for the
The
challenges, right?
100%. And I tell them like the paranoid survive,
Hmm.
right? Like always be aware of like, always be paranoid. Like I'm gonna go out of business, right? Like, but those are the people who survive. Those are the people who are forecasting and watching the market. Like the paranoid survive. Just like always stay on your toes. Never get comfortable.
Yeah,
You
for
know.
sure. That's a great perspective. Well, David, thank you so much for your time, man. It was great having you. You dropped
Appreciate
so
you, brother.
many gems. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you.
This is
I
gonna be
took
your
some,
highest episode, bro. Your highest view count, bro.
huh?
This is going to be your highest viewed episode, bro.
I hope so. Let's pump it out there. Right? I took some notes. I hope people take some notes and apply it, because unapplied knowledge is simply entertainment. Thank you, David, once again. Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes,
Likewise.
sir. Thank you.